You're the guy people call when they need a helping hand, moving furniture, unloading a truck. But lately, your shoulder's been acting up, and you're the one who's calling for help. And that's the moment you realize you can no longer shoulder the load.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care, with a range of surgical and non-surgical treatments. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 455. The daily weigh-in, is keto the best diet?
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine, and this is the daily weigh-in. Now, I haven't done this in a while, and I thought it was a good opportunity to bring it back, where I take your questions, mostly from my Instagram. Follow me at any time at You Can Pound This, and I answer your questions just one at a time here on the Daily Weigh-In, at least the questions that I can answer the best to my abilities. Now, if there's some questions that I can't answer, I look into finding an expert or somebody that can speak on that topic. So if you've asked a question and you're not getting it answered immediately, don't worry. I'm finding somebody to answer that question for you. But this question I've gotten a lot recently. I've had a lot of people that have been new to my Instagram page, and a lot of people that are like, oh, I thought you were doing keto and you do low carb, but now I see you eating carbs, and I'm confused about who you are. And so one of the questions I got is keto the perfect diet? And I've had a lot of people ask about that. In the past couple of weeks, a lot of keto questions. And so I wanted to address that question, which was specifically, is keto the best diet? And I will say that there is no best diet. There is just whatever is best for you. Now, I've tried lots of diets, and I've done keto, but like in weeks at a time. And so for what's right for me isn't necessarily right for you. And some people, keto is absolutely amazing. Other people can't live without carbs and they want to cut somebody, and that's fine. So I'd say that to say what works the best or what is the best, there is absolutely no answer for that, because if you think about how many humans are on this planet, and there is a lot of us, and how we are all completely just built different genetically, how culturally we're different, even in just different parts of the same country. Like we all have so many things that are different about us. There is no right or wrong way, which it's one of the things that kind of drive me crazy about diets, as many diets as I've done, is I think that there's something that can work for a while, and then it doesn't work, which means it doesn't work for you. But I think there's lessons to learn in that. So, I'm always a fan of, if you want to try something, definitely try it. Try it. Like, nobody's going to shame you if you try keto and you love it for 2 months and then you start to hate it. Like, that's who you are, and that's totally fine. So I'd say that if you are curious about keto or low carb, then absolutely go for it. I know for me, through lots of experimenting and trials and errors of just always dealing with my food and my weight from my entire life, is I know that I tend to run better and feel better when I eat lower carb. Now, I love carbs, and then it'll change too. Like, some weeks I'll do really low carb, and then I'm over it. And then I bring some more carbs back the next week, because that's what makes me happy. That's what makes me feel good. That makes me not obsess over my food. And that's takes me personally to a happy place. And I think that's what's important here, is to have a good relationship with your food and what feels good, what doesn't feel restrictive, what doesn't feel like prison. So if you're doing keto and it starts to wear on you, and then you have to, quote unquote, cheat from keto, and you're eating cake and whatever, or breads on the weekends, then maybe that's not the right thing from you if you have to have an escape from it. You know what I mean? So, and this isn't to just dog on keto specifically, this is just the question, but that's the same thing with paleo or intermittent fasting or anything that it's just kind of like, if you feel like you need to have a vacation from it and you need to like, you just can't wait till Friday because you can finally have the thing that you've been restricted from, then that's not the way you want to live the rest of your life, right? You know what I mean? That seems horrible to like just dream about bread all week until you can finally have it. Of like, I know for me that the more that I crave and need something, the more apt I am to binge. Like I tell myself, like, you can't have hot dogs. Don't have hot dogs. They have not many redeeming qualities. There's a lot of, there's a lot of highly processed stuff. I don't really know what's in there, but dang, are they delicious? So don't eat hot dogs. And the moment I tell myself don't, I can sustain that till a certain point in time. And then I will just binge on hot dogs because that's the whole, restrict binge mentality of like, tell yourself you can't. So I'd say that if, you're like, hey, I like eating lower carb, but I want to have some bread today, then have some bread and have it be a reasonable amount until you tell yourself you can't forever. And then you just eat an entire loaf of bread. So that's kind of where my personal opinion lays on that. And I did South Beach. So I've never done like just a hardcore keto thing, but I've done the first couple weeks of the South Beach diet, which is like no carbs. And I did that for 3 months straight leading up to my wedding. And the moment that my wedding hit, I just skidded so hard. And I lost 30 or 40 pounds in 3 months. And then, I gained it back real quick, because that was not sustainable for me. Like I was just starving myself and not giving myself anything I wanted. I had not one drop of alcohol. I had no carbs for months. And then my wedding hit and I just got wasted. And then after that, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not working for the wedding anymore, whatever. And then just like went ham. And like, that's the thing that's like, it's damaging your metabolism. It damages you mentally. Like it's just this off and on roller coaster. So if you find yourself doing something like that with a keto, then don't do it. And I've done before where I really like kind of doing every once in a while these longer fasts just for personal reasons. And from that, you put your body in ketosis. And from there, I've done like a week and a half of a very clean keto of, just your avocados, olive oils, not processed foods, lower protein, higher fat, and some veggies in there. And I felt freaking awesome. Like I felt amazing till I always hit about like a week and a half. And then it's like, I got to have oatmeal or something. Like I need some fruit. Like I do not want to live my life without fruit. I love fruit. I don't see fruit as an enemy. I don't ever want to see fruit or carbs as an enemy. Me personally, that's just because that's how much I love them. So, and then for me, I'm like, okay, well, I felt that was awesome to do that. I've seen some benefits in that, but also to be calm with myself of like, oh, well, just keep, banging this into the ground. You felt so good. You're getting results from it. Just keep going, keep pushing through. And it's like, well, I can live a healthier life without just putting these restraints on myself. But that being said, if you're doing that and you love it and you look forward to it and you find it sustainable and you're doing awesome, then roll with it. Whatever you're doing, if you like counting calories and it makes you feel awesome, count calories. If you like counting macros and it makes you feel awesome, count macros. If you don't like counting anything and you just kind of like making better choices and doing more intuitive eating, do that. Like the answer to what is the perfect diet is whatever is perfect for you. And I know that's such a cliche answer at this point, and it's hard to find because it's going to take a lot of experimenting of what do you like and where do you get results. And so that might be something that you maybe need to hire a coach or a trainer or have accountability buddy. And that's where I think it's like, if you can try on some of these things for size and see what you like and what you don't, which is what I've done with a lot of diets of like every diet I've done has taught me something. It's taught me the things that I like about it and it's taught me the things that I don't. But the fact that I bail on it or I cheat on it or whatever doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means that it's not the perfect fit. And the perfect fit for me is just kind of a hodgepodge of everything. which is why I don't have like a specific meal plan. When I show my meal preps, I'm like, this is ideas, but I don't know what's perfect for you. I don't know if you like weighing and measuring your food. And if you do, great. If you don't, great. Like everybody is so incredibly different. And it's such a hard question to answer. And it's the answer that no one wants, because all of us want, like, tell me what to do, right? Doesn't it just sound so relieving? I'm like, I don't want to have to figure this out. This is work. Just tell me what to do and I'll just do it. And then whenever it stops working, then you got someone to blame. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah. Cause I've been there before too. Oh, this didn't work. So I can point my finger at who messed it up or what didn't work. And then it's not like, oh, well, I was trying to figure this out and I guess it's my fault. Which, yeah, you know, sometimes you got to just own up where your faults are, because we all have them. It's not a bad thing. It's not an attack on yourself. It's what's, you know, where do you find yourself slipping up every time? Like, pay attention to what you're doing. You're like, okay, I noticed this habit about me, so this is what I have to do to fix it. And that goes into the psychological part of, you know, changing bad habits or creating better habits. And really, that's the biggest part of what a quote unquote diet is just habit building, of building habits that are sustainable, what you want to stick to, what you find enjoyable, and finding joy in the process, and knowing that it is absolutely work. It is totally work. So to think that you're going to sign up for something or you're going to do something and it's going to take all the work out of it and just tell me what to do, that can work for some period of time, but ultimately you're going to have to pick up some of the pieces and run with it, because this is your life. And you can't, especially with a lot of things that are like the shakes and the bars and stuff like that, of what happens if that company goes out of business? I know the very first hardcore diet I did, LA Weight Loss, they went out of business and I was having their bars and all that stuff at the time. And so it's like, well, if they go out of business or they go away or you lose your job and you can't afford it, like, how do you know how to eat now? Like, how do you know how to survive without this pre-made shake, this pre-made meal, this pre-made bar, these supplements? Like, you know, that's where this is hard, and you have to learn what's best for you, because those other options may not be there till you die, which is to put it harshly. And so it's do those things if you want to, learn some lessons and see it as a tool in your toolbox. And I think that that's the healthiest way to look at a diet, is like, this is giving me tools to put in my toolbox to know what to use, how to use them, and moving forward. And I think it's also important too, again, I don't want to be such a bummer in this podcast, but to know that some of the tools that your trusty tools you can always go to, don't work forever either. And this is a bummer. And I'm, you know, parts of me are learning this too, as I'm getting older, is the things it's like, okay, well, I know that if I get off track, I just go super low carb, or you do whatever you do for a couple weeks to kind of like jolt the system again, right? Like, I think we all kind of have that sort of experience where we're like, oh, well, we know if we do blank, then this works for me. So then what happens whenever you do that and it doesn't work for you anymore, because your body's just like, nah, or you're just older and your hormones change and your body makeup changes. And then it's like, well, what now? And I have a former coworker that had this specific problem, where she's just like, always when I felt like my weight was getting out of control, she knew that she would eat a certain way, like just cut out the carbs and just be really strict on herself for like a month and kind of knock the weight back down. Again, it's just a cycle, right? But she's just like, that doesn't work for me anymore. She's like, I'm in menopause and I don't know what else to do, because that was my trusty trick for my whole life. And now when I do that, like, I gain weight, and what the hell's happening? And it's so frustrating. So that's where it's like, well, we got to find a new tool to put in your toolbox. And it's hard. It's work. It's experimenting. It's like, okay, well, that's not the method that works. So what else can we try on for size? And what else is sustainable? And let's not focus on just like getting this number on the scale down. Like, let's get you in a place where you feel physically and mentally good, which I think is also should be at the core of the mission, is what makes me feel just good and comfortable in my own body. And let's not obsess over the scale and starve ourselves or exercise ourselves to death to get this number down. So that's just part of the game, and I'm there too. I mean, I turn 38 next week. Oh God. So I'm like, for me, that's not the same 20-something-year-old Amanda that used to crash diet. That's not even me 8.5 years ago starting my weight loss journey then. I mean, that's almost a decade of difference, right? I'm in a different body now. I'm in a different place, and it's learning and growing and experimenting and learning and working and knowing that, it's hard work, but finding joy in the process makes it not seem as hard, and finding those little small goals, the 1% better every day sort of goals that make you want to move forward. So I know I went off on some real tangents here outside of his keto, the perfect diet, or his keto, the best diet. But again, try it, see what lessons you learn from it, and either continue or find something different. And that is my best advice with that. So hopefully that answers that question. Again, if you have any other questions that you would like me to answer, you can find me on Instagram at You Can Pound This. You can always find me at my email as amanda@amandavalentinbites.com. Also, I highly recommend you explore my website. I've got details about my health coaching on there. Also, my meal prep cookbook and the Bite This Bagel seasoning and the Amanda Valentine Bites coffee and all that fun stuff, which I'm super excited about. Also, super shout out to my website designer, Paul Brinker, who has just been killing it for me. He's been amazing. So he just kind of redid some new stuff for me. So I'm very grateful for that because I don't know how to do that stuff. But as always, thank you so much for listening. If you find any value in this podcast specifically, or this episode, or any episode, please share, just spread the word. That helps me so much of just getting the word out for this podcast. Write a review on iTunes, leave a rating if you can, and say hi, because I love to chat, obviously. All right, talk to you guys later.